Hi, and welcome to Urban Explorers. Today, we are going to look at a place that was the first of its kind in Manhattan. The place we're talking about is this beautiful home. It's called the Merchant House Museum. It was the first building to be designated as a monument in Manhattan. That was back in 1965. This house was originally built by the hatter Joseph Brewster. Now, no, he wasn't a Mad Hatter before you get there. Joseph Brewster was actually a hatter of quite good renown. Like, he made these interesting hats from, pelts and other things like that. And he originally built this house, but he didn't live in it. The family that lived in it and called it home did so for almost a century. And this family was the Tredwell family. Seabury Tredwell was only 23 when he started up his successful hardware business. And he worked for a very long time. But at the end of his working career, he decided he wanted a house where he could have his whole family, that is his wife, and 7 kids. Now, that sounds like a lot of children, right? I mean, by today's standards, 7 kids, lots of money. But back then, it was normal to have large families. And Seabury wanted to give his family a home that they could be proud of. So he moved them into the house that is now known as the Merchant House Museum. The Bond Street neighborhood where this house is was considered one of the more affluent or the more well-connected neighborhoods. And living here meant that you had a lot of connections to, network amongst people who were engaged in business and who were at the top of their own worlds. Now, Seabury was definitely retired from his hardware business when he moved into this house, but Seabury was still a businessman. And he had several investments running in real estate. Also, he was running with the booming railroad that was, spreading across this country. And he was definitely part of that entire community. This house proved to be the place where Seabury could bring his whole family under one roof. And Seabury lived here with his wife, 7 children, 4 servants, and several relatives. Can you imagine that? All that in one house. But this house was big enough to provide enough room to actually support that. And what was interesting is that of all his children, 5 of them never ever got married. They continued to live in this house their whole life until they died. The most noteworthy of those children was the last child. And it's because she had quite the story. We're talking about none other than Gertrude Tredwell. And Gertrude was also the last person from the family to live in this house. Gertrude had quite the interesting love story. She fell in love with a Catholic doctor called Lewis Walton. Now, Lewis made her really happy, and she made him really happy. The problem here was that he was Catholic, and Gertrude's family were Protestants. And that being the case, these two didn't really get along. And when Seabury found out about it, he absolutely said no and put a massive kibosh on the whole deal. Sadly, in doing so, he broke poor Gertrude's heart. Now, here's what's interesting. Back then, society was a little different, because once Seabury broke up the relationship, he made Gertrude promise that she would never go back to the relationship. And soon after all of this happened, Seabury and his wife passed away. But Gertrude stuck to her promise to her parents. And so, as time went on, Not only did Gertrude remain unmarried, she also became quite the recluse.
Throughout her life in the house, Gertrude made it her mission to maintain the house in the original way that it was built. When she finally passed away in 1933, she left the house to her niece, who then sold it to George Chapman, the person instrumental in preserving the house as the museum that it is today.
However, Gertrude's story doesn't end there because even though Gertrude has been dead a long time now, it's said that she still lives here. Now, there have been countless stories of different kinds of interactions that people have had with the spirit that is believed to be Gertrude's, including one really scary event where there was a bunch of children playing outside this house, and all of a sudden, Gertrude, or a spirit that looked like her, came rushing out of the house and told them to, leave. And if that was not scary enough, when Gertrude's not scaring children away from here, she's said to be playing the broken piano that's upstairs in the window. And she is supposed to be playing this usually after the museum is closed and there's nobody here. But the music drifts down to the street, and people walking by have claimed to hear this music coming from upstairs. And in addition to that, it is also believed that Gertrude is not the only spirit that lives in this house. Because people who've gone into the bedrooms have said that they could smell Seabreeze tobacco, like the smell of freshly burning tobacco in one of the bedrooms. There have been multiple people who've seen different aberrations that, they're there and then they're gone. And then even scarier than that, there have been people who have had, things that are stationary on tables, like cups and saucers and things that are just, placed around for decoration, flung at them or moved across the room as they're walking through these rooms. So the next time you feel like you're up for a bit of adventure and you want to go out and check out something that has got a lot of interesting history, but also a little bit of a dark side, come to the Merchant House Museum. Have a look around, and who knows, maybe you can say hi to Gertrude. Until we meet again, please smash that like button, enjoy the video, and if you did, follow us. See ya. Bye-bye.